Last week, we talked about the story, The Country of the Blind. So, how much do you still remember about the story? So, how much do you know about the story? So, for example, like the characters. So, who were the characters in the story? El Nunes, right? And who else? Something or someone that changed his mind. And Medina, right? Also the lady in the story. And how about the setting? The place of the story? Huh? A village, right? A village, right? A village very far away from our world, right? So perhaps you forget some of the important parts of the story, so I think we can get a quick review over the story a little bit. So now I will play the soundtrack of the lesson, and when you are listening, please use your finger to point at the words. All right. So where's your finger? Your finger. Show me your finger. Okay. So when you hear the sentences or the story, so make sure you point at the word which is being said. Okay, so we'll get started from the very first paragraph on page 130, right?
Nunez, an experienced mountaineer.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, you're ready? Okay.
The country of the blind. Nunez, an experienced mountaineer, was climbing up one of Ecuador's highest mountains when he lost his footing. He slid down a snowy slope and fell over a cliff edge, tumbling a great distance. Bruised and dazed, he found himself in a place cut off from the world.
Despite his injuries, Nunez struggled to his feet and set off to explore. As he made his way through the unfamiliar land, he came upon an unusual village. The houses were unevenly painted, and all the roads leading to the houses had low walls alongside them. It didn't take long for Nunez to realize that every villager was blind. Feeling superior to these sightless people, he thought to himself, "In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king."
However, after spending time with the locals, he was amazed at their great knowledge. Though blind, they knew their mountain kingdom intimately. The villagers skillfully farmed and moved around by using their keen senses of hearing, touch, and smell. They also employed effective techniques for growing crops and caring for animals. The paths, lined with low walls, had been specially built to help them navigate safely.
Among the villagers, a respected elder named Jacob put the outsider to work and began teaching him their ways. Gradually, Nunez adapted to their way of life, but he clung to the reality of sight. To him, vision was as real as the air he breathed. Although he tried to explain what he saw, he failed to make them understand what it meant to have vision. The more he spoke of high mountains and twinkling stars, the more the villagers pitied him.
Nunez felt frustrated at the villagers' lack of awe for his precious gift of sight. It wasn't until he first laid eyes on Jacob's daughter, Medina Cerote, that he began to feel them. No one else admired Medina's beauty, as she had well-defined features that lacked the smoothness the villagers valued. Furthermore, her weak voice was neither powerful nor pleasing enough to meet their standards. Nunez alone recognized her beauty, and he soon fell in love with her.
Yet as their relationship blossomed, their desire to marry faced fierce opposition from the other villagers, who viewed Nunez's sight as a dangerous delusion that needed to be cured. Worst of all, even Medina herself agreed with them. She persuaded Nunez to remove the peculiar orbs on either side of his nose. That way, he could stop daydreaming and truly become one of them. In return for Nunez's great sacrifice, she agreed to marry him.
Nunez was confronted with a dilemma. He had to choose either to lose his eyes or to end their relationship. Eventually, he agreed to give up his eyes for Medina's sake. Nevertheless, it wasn't until the day of his surgery that he realized he was making a huge mistake. That morning, he once again beheld the splendor of the sunrise, gazing at the beautiful surrounding landscape and envisioning all that he might still see in the future. Nunez saw that he had to escape. Driven by the desire to save his sight, he fled the country of the blind.
Alright, so after you listen to the story again, so can you recall any important plots in the story? So for example, so what was the dilemma in the story? What were the two choices the character had to make? Okay, Anderson.
The eye view or the relationship.
You mean like the first one? Sorry, I missed that one.
Eye view.
Okay, the eyes, the sight, the view. Okay, the vision or
The relationship.
the relationship, right? So if you were the character, which one would you choose?
I will choose the.
Your eyes.
My
You choose a sight, not a girlfriend.
Yes.
Are you sure? Really? Really? How about David? So which one would you like to choose?
I'll choose my eyes.
You'll choose your eyes. Why?
I think my eyes is important.
So more important than your girlfriend.
Yes.
Really? Okay. Alright, so now I'll give you a piece of paper first, right? So for you to take notes later first. Alright, so later on you are going to listen to 6 sentences from the story, which are A, B, C, D, E, F. So you are going to listen to 6 sentences. Alright, so you can write down A, B, C, D, E, F first. Okay? So A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay? Oh, sorry. Okay. So later on, when you hear each sentence, please try to take notes of each sentence, especially the key words of the sentence. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F. All right. So firstly, I'll play the 6 sentences, and please try to take notes about each sentence. And then you are going to put those sentences in the right order, in the right sequence to retell the story, right? So they are going to be the mixed order from A to F. And afterwards, you have to put the sentences in the right order based on the story, right? So are you ready? Ready? Okay. So I'll play the first one first, okay?
A. Nunez agreed to give up his eyes, but he changed his mind and fled. B. Nunez fell in love with Medina, but their relationship was opposed by the villagers. C. Nunez tried to make the villagers understand the feeling of having sight, but failed. D. Nunez was asked to sacrifice his eyes so that Medina would marry him. E. Nunez, an experienced mountain climber, lost his footing when hiking in Ecuador. F. Nunez found himself in a village where everyone was blind, and the villagers' great knowledge and wisdom amazed him.
Okay, so what's easy for you or a little bit too difficult?
Easy.
Too difficult. Okay, I'll play this another one again in the female voice. So also from A to F, right? So you can also take notes of the keywords first. Okay.
A.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
A. Nunez agreed to give up his eyes, but he changed his mind and fled. B. Nunez fell in love with Medina, but their relationship was opposed by the villagers. C. Nunez tried to make the villagers understand the feeling of having sight, but failed. D. Nunez was asked to sacrifice his eyes so that Medina would marry him. E. Nunez, an experienced mountain climber, lost his footing when hiking in Ecuador. F. Nunez found himself in a village where everyone was blind, and the villagers' great knowledge and wisdom amazed him.
Right. So can you tell me which one might be the first sentence? E. Okay, so E might be the first one. And how about the second one? F. Okay, E and F. And how about third one? C. Oh, you are so smart. How about number 4? B or D? B or D? Huh? B or D? B. And how about number 5? D. And last one? A. Alright, so listen again, and this time you will be read in the right sequence, so please check the answers again, alright?
E. Nunez, an experienced mountain climber, lost his footing when hiking in Ecuador. F. Nunez found himself in a village where everyone was blind, and the villagers' great knowledge and wisdom amazed him. C. Nunez tried to make the villagers understand the feeling of having sight, but failed. B. Nunez fell in love with Medina, but their relationship was opposed by the villagers. D. Nunez was asked to sacrifice his eyes so that Medina would marry him. A. Nunez agreed to give up his eyes, but he changed his mind and fled.
Alright, so the answer should be E, F, C, B, D, A, right? So please write down the answers on page 134, okay? So here there will be the sentences you just heard, okay, on page 134. Okay, so you can turn to page 134, okay? And write down the correct answers, which are E, F, C, B, D, A, okay? On page 134. Alright, so I'll play it for the last time and make sure you can catch every single word in the sentence on page 134.
Nunez, an experienced mountain climber, lost his footing when hiking in Ecuador. Nunez found himself in a village where everyone was blind, and the villagers' great knowledge and wisdom amazed him. Nunez tried to make the villagers understand the feeling of having sight, but failed. Nunez fell in love with Medina, but their relationship was opposed by the villagers. Nunez was asked to sacrifice his eyes so that Medina would marry him. Nunez agreed to give up his eyes, but he changed his mind and fled.
Alright, So there'll be all the important plots or important sentences of the story. And now let's move on to the questions we had in the very beginning of the lesson. So if you still remember, in the very first class, before we talk about the story, I showed you the book cover of the story, right? So after you read the whole story, did you find any paragraph which is about this book cover or the picture? Do we have this one in our story, in our textbook?
Yes.
Really? Which part? But in the end, did Nunez lose his eyes? No. So obviously, would this person be the main character of the story?
No.
Maybe not, right? Right. So you can think about, so what might be the part, or what might be some other missing parts, the story we had in our textbook, right? So there might be this one, so you can keep this one in mind. And also, in the very beginning, we also talk about a sentence like this one. In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So what does this one mean? Who is the one-eyed man in the story? The king. But do we have a king in the story? No. So what does that mean? Or think about why did Nunez say the sentence like this in the story? He wanted to show he should be, or he was more superior or inferior to other people. Yeah, superior, right? So he felt himself better than the other people in the country of the blind, right? So they can also keep this lesson in mind a little bit. So think about, so one day if you have your child, you have your kids, you are going to retell the story to your kids. How would you like to retell the story? Or you want to retell the story to your mom or your dad, or to your friends, to the airplanes? How to retell the story? Okay, so you can think about how to retell the story to make it appealing. Alright? So basically, there are some different ways for you to retell the story, especially you can use some key sentences, just as what we listened to in the previous part. And you can also use some pictures or some photos to retell the story, right? So here, we'll move on to the session about how to retell the story, right? And usually, if you want to create a video or using different kinds of pictures to retell the story, there are different kinds of camera shots or different kinds of angles or different kinds of viewpoints or perspectives for you to tell the story. Right? And usually we will use 9 shots or 9 pictures to quickly retell the story. Right? So here I'm going to show you a video. It's a little bit long, it's about 10 minutes. So you can take a look at some of special features of different kinds of shots, and maybe you can catch some ideas about how you can develop the story one by one using 9 different shots or 9 different pictures. Right? So I'm going to take a look at this one.
Films are made up of sequences. Sequences are made up of scenes. And scenes are made up of shots. But you must understand the characteristics and storytelling value of each shot.
Don't be
In this video, we'll begin with the big picture and work our way down. We're going to define the essential shot sizes in a filmmaker's toolbox and how to use the right shot at the right time to create memorable moments on screen. This is episode 1 of The Shot List. shot size. Shot choices help establish the rhythm, tone, and meaning of a scene. Knowing which shot will be the most aesthetically and dramatically valuable for a given scene should be the highest priority for both a director and a DP. In this video, we'll be examining essential shot sizes. As we go, we'll populate a shot list in Studio Binder as a sort of cheat sheet the next time we need to create one. Now, let's get to the shots. The most common visual element to open a scene or even an entire film is the establishing shot. It is typically wide enough to establish the geography, time of day, show the scale of subjects in relation to their environment, and is often used to transition between scenes. With genres like science fiction, where entirely new worlds need to be introduced, the establishing shot is crucial. Blade Runner 2049 opens with a series of establishing shots. We get the first impressions of near-future Earth with industrial and futuristic farms outside the city. So remember, an establishing shot is a crucial introductory component of any scene. It can mark a transition to a new location, or introduce crucial details about the location or world. The establishing shot is often followed up with a master shot, or simply the master. Like the establishing shot, a master shot confirms the location and geography of the scene. It also clarifies which characters are in the scene and where they are in relationship to each other.
Go on, sit down. Go ahead. Talk to each other. Famous line style.
Here we see a master from The Godfather Part 2 framing Corleone family around a dinner table.
Hey, Simon, get in here.
The majority of this scene is played in the master to emphasize the family's close-knit relationship.
Country ain't your blood, you remember that. I don't feel that way.
Until Michael drops some devastating news.
Well, if you don't feel like that, why don't you just quit college and go to join the army? I did. I enlisted in the Marines. Keep it quiet, why didn't you come to us? What do you mean? I mean, Pop had to pull a lot of strings to get your deferment. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for deferment, I didn't want it.
But it also helps make Michael split from the family visual from this to this. And we feel the emptiness around him that much more. Remember, the master captures the scene playing out in its entirety, providing the editor with something to cut out to, if necessary. Moving on. Wide shot, WS.
Let me tell you about my boat.
The wide shot positions subjects far from the camera to visually represent their relationship to their environment. This is distinct from the establishing shot, which is about location. The wide shot is principally concerned with the scale of the subject.
I'm finished.
It can be used when you need to make subjects appear lost, lonely, or overwhelmed, or comment on a subject's relationship to their environment. In this wide shot from Phantom Thread, we can see the characters Alma and Reynolds dwarfed by a messy ballroom. Paul Thomas Anderson could have ended the scene with close-ups to capture the characters' emotions. But by ending with a wide shot here, we can consider Alma and Reynolds together, yet isolated from the world around them. Use it when you need to establish the spatial relationships of the subjects. Make statements using distance, depth, or size. Our next subject, full shot.
Alright, so before we move on to shot number 4, So in the very previous shots, just like when you try to tell a story, in the beginning, for the very first shot, for the very first picture, of the very first part, so you'll try to create what for your story? Or try to present what of your story? Yeah, the setting, right? So you try to tell the setting, which means the background, but background refers to the yes. But if you still remember, we had some WH questions, right? So which two questions? Where, yeah, where about the place, and also when, yeah, about the time, right? So they will be for the very first shot. And then we'll move on to the second shot. We'll focus on the, yeah, who, right? So there will be the characters, right? And then in shot 3, we'll try to show the relationship between the characters and the setting, right? In the shot, all right? So now we'll move on to the middle 3 shots. So think about when you try to tell the story in the middle, what might be something you encounter? After you talk about the setting and the characters, what might be the next part of the story? You'll try to create, yeah, the climax, right? So there might be some conflicts, some confrontations in the story, right? So let's move on to the middle 3 shots here.
When a subject's entire body reaches from the top to the bottom edges of the frame, the shot is defined as full. With a full shot, it's not necessary to put the subject in the center of the frame, but notice how often this is the case. This example is effective because it is tight enough to tell a story with the character's face, but wide enough to further the story by observing her entire body, posture, and wardrobe. So remember, a full is composed head to toe, and you can use them when you need to make statements about a subject's physicality and present a character in all their glory. Moving on. Medium full shot, cowboy. The medium full shot is arranged from the top of the subject's head to just below their waist. It is sometimes referred to as a cowboy shot based on the height of gun holsters. Here we can see complementary angles from The Favorite, composed in medium fulls. The cowboy angle on the character Lady Sarah is particularly strong and confrontational. This isn't a western and features no holsters, but it's hard not to think of cowboys when firearms are deployed like this. Use it when you need to present a subject as confident, dangerous, or confrontational, especially when weapons might be drawn. Moving on. Medium shot, MS. Perhaps the most popular shot size in all of cinema is the medium shot. But why? Because it's more of a neutral shot, neither dramatic like a close-up or distancing like a wide shot. It captures the subject in a size similar to how we interact with people. Will you hold still? The typical composition of a medium shot starts above the waist but below the chest and ends just above the head. Shot sizes deployed in animated films function under the same compositional rules.
Oh, hello.
Let's look at an example to better illustrate this. In this scene from Coco, Miguel watches a film starring his idol. The medium shot composition accommodates quite a bit. The props from Miguel's shrine, the detail on the TV screen, and Miguel's reactions to it. It's an intimate moment as we observe Miguel's joy, along with the objects of his affection in a single frame.
Follow my heart. You know that feeling?
So remember, the typical composition of a medium shot starts above the waist, but below the chest, and ends just above the head. Use it when you need to dig into a subject's eyes without losing their physicality or environment, or utilize a true middle ground approach that is neither jarring nor especially dramatic. Our next subject, medium close-up shot.
Alright, so before we move on to the last 3 shots of the video, so I would like you to think about, so when you read a story or when you read a story, think about in the story or the country or the blind, what might be the weapon in the story? So what is the conflict? What is the confrontation in the story? What do you think? Because in the story of the country blind, we don't have any gun, right? We don't have something like weapon in the story. But in terms of the idea weapon or conflict or confrontation, what might be the weapon or what might be the confrontation in the story? The dilemma, okay, the dilemma might be the kind of conflict or the confrontation in the story. And what else? Idea. So perhaps you can discuss with teammates later, right? To think about, because when you read a story, people will read the stories in different ways. So perhaps you have different kind of ideas about the conflicts or confrontations or the weapon in the story, right? And now we'll move on to the last 3 shots to see how you can end the story with the last 3 pictures, all right? So let's take a look.
MCU. When a shot frames a subject from mid-chest to just above their head, it is referred to as a medium close-up. Medium close-ups are about reducing distraction and prioritizing story and character details.
Why don't you start right now and get the fuck out of here?
Use it when you need to get intimate with a subject without losing their physicality.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Here, the villainous Thanos snaps his fingers during the climactic moments of Avengers Endgame. With this shot size, we have room for the Infinity Gauntlet, and Thanos' look of cruel satisfaction in thinking he is won. But when he fails, this medium close-up is designed to also capture his reaction. Remember, a medium close-up is roughly head to chest. Are you ready for it? It's the close-up. See you.
Here's Johnny!
Of course, the most powerful visual weapon for highlighting a change in emotion or dramatic beat on screen. Close-ups are most often arranged at eye level, better to dig into the windows of the soul. In this shot size, we have a front row seat for a character's thoughts and feelings.
Can you help me? Yes, anything.
The close-up is about empathy and illustrates how dramatically effective it can be in a time of decision or anxiety. Our final category, extreme close-up shot, ECU. An extreme close-up, or ECU, frames a subject to isolate a specific area. This could be lips, ears, or nose, but the eyes are typically the focus. Like here in Kill Bill Volume 1. As the bride is swarmed by the crazy 88, we cut back and forth between their entry points and her frantic eyes. But when the function of a specific prop or an intimate detail is necessary, filmmakers will often rely on the insert shot. Inserts are most commonly used to highlight and isolate something crucial to the narrative. So remember, an extreme close-up or an insert shot is one of the greatest tools for emphasis. It is the most intimate, dramatic, and potentially startling of all shot sizes. So, this is our shot list made in Studio Binders so far.
Right, so basically there'll be the night shots you are going to use to retell the story. Right, so basically you'll get started from the establishing shot to create a setting or story, and a master shot to highlight the character or the story, and then wide shot to show the relationship or like the character's relation to the surroundings or the environment, all right? And then we'll move on to the full shot, cowboy shot, and medium shot. So especially here, you try to highlight the weapon or the confrontation in the middle, right? So basically, the setting, character, and relation. And then you show the subject again, and you show the weapon, and also the interaction of the character or the story. And finally, you show some feeling, some intimacy, and you try to use a close-up shot to show the empathy of the audience with the story character. And finally, you try to focus on the key point of your story. So for example, you can also try to create a different setting for your story, The Country of the Blind. For example, in the end, so what happened to Nunez afterwards, after he ran away? What do you think? So after Nunez ran away, what happened to him? What do you think? He found another woman in another place. Really? But how about do you think he, after he met different people, would he kind of go back to the country of the blind again? What do you think? So for example, if I want to tell the story like this, I want to say, eventually, Nunez went back to the country of the blind, and then he removed his eyes, and then got married with a lady, Medina, there. And then, in a case, my last shot will be what? Will be a blind eye, right? Right. So there might be something on the face, right? So think about how you are going to end the story. You can try to create different kind of endings, especially the part which is not mentioned in our textbook, right? So these are the 9 shots that allow you to think about. If you are going to retell the story, The Country of the Blind, what are the 9 pictures that you like to create to retell the story with 9 sentences, all right? So afterwards, I would like you to discuss with teammates, and you have to upload your 9 pictures like this, all right? So you have to create 9 pictures about your story, and then your 9 sentences here on the post, all right? And make sure you put the teammates' information, all right? So I'll put you in groups, all right? So today, I would like you to draw 9 pictures of the shots to retell the story on one of the paper, okay? And then also please think about the 9 sentences for the pictures to retell the story. And please upload your post here for the storyteller practice. All right, so please take your time to discuss with teammates. So basically, 9 pictures, 9 sentences to retell the story of the country of the blind, right? So please take your time. And if you need any markers or any color pencils, you can take some markers here, alright? Otherwise, you can use the pencil to do the drafting first.
Safety, carrot，我唱 relation，然后 carrot，然后我唱。我只会这一个。不要自己。半肠胃。所以。我觉得那个烤肉那个可以拿来做料理。
Alright, so let me remind you again. So you are going to use the 9 shots, 9 pictures to retell the story, the country or the blind. So basically, you had the story already, but you are thinking about how you're going to retell the story using just 9 sentences and 9 pictures. Okay.
没有，因为都写句子，一个人要没有写句子啊。他刚跟我们说要拍，就是他说要拍，他说 write 9 sentence。老师要图片啊，要图片啊 ，pictures。所以这些句子是在这样子。那我们现在只写句子，还有拍照要走下课或者是凌晨自己。那就要写句子。就是叫我们把真的哦。写这两个多了。这叫灵活化。还有再来，我先讲几个。9个你要分9个写，然后要2张放图片。对啊。然后你这样的想，下吗？差，人家有点差时间，要一张一直到太帅。
One man.
Alright, so since we're running out of time today, so perhaps I'll give you another 20 minutes tomorrow to finish your story. Alright, 9 sentences and 9 pictures. Alright, then you could take a break first.